Hey everyone, we have officially hit 100 episodes on the Homefront this year. I just want to take a moment to say a huge thank you to all of you, our loyal listeners, for being with us on this amazing ride. Whether you've been here from day one or just joined the journey, your support means everything to me and the team. So to celebrate, we've put together some of our best moments from the show, highlighting the unbelievably extraordinary guests, powerful stories, and of course, all the laughs we've shared along the way. Let's keep it going, and here's to the next 100.
Watch me, watch me, watch me, watch me. Watch what I can do. We live in for today, like it's our last.
You know, we've got this podcast. It's going really well. It's going better than we expected it to, obviously, because you're on. I mean, who would have ever thought we'd have John Davids on the Homefront? But, you know, sometimes dreams come true, John. You know, if you live long enough.
Listen, man, I see you climbing the charts, and I have tuned in. I mean, this podcast is really good, and I'm actually surprised that you haven't been doing it for longer because you're really polished at it. It's climbing the charts fast. You look great on camera.
Well, hey, I appreciate it. You can keep going. I sold a significant business in 2019 that I built over almost 25 years, and my wife's comment was, "I'm looking forward to spending more time with you." I waited 3 days, and I've launched 31 businesses in 5 years. We can't help it. It's who we are.
And I guess loving what you do has its benefits and has its challenges.
Oh, and by the way, it's my birthday, so I think those
happy birthday, dude.
Serendipity. 56 today, closing on our 6th brand. And
you and I are the same age, man.
Oh,
we're 1 month apart.
Well,
yeah, mine's May 22nd. We're 2 weeks apart.
Oh, happy birthday to you. Say, look, there's 3 little words that ultimately got my wife to marry me. The first, you know, and they're like, "Is it I love you?" I said, "No, it's lower your standards." No, so, but no, it's these 3 words are rush to conflict. Some people get paid by the hour, other people get paid commission or by the job, but true leaders get paid by the conversation. It's the engagements that we have. It's the words that we say. It's the clarity that we create. It's the inspiration that we give to people, and like that's what people want to be a part of. And you know, so and if it's anybody who's in a leadership position, you know, it's their responsibility to kind of further that agenda. And then we all just get to work after it. No, it's not going to be perfect. You know, we don't. By the way, when we make a mistake, like it's not like when the angels make a mistake. Like nobody dies generally. You know, here. So, you know, we have a greater margin of error than certainly you did.
Wow. Love your answer. I can see why you're helping so many companies and so many people.
We teach our children to speak up. We teach them to, advocate for themselves. But, you know, they need to do that respectfully. And they need to earn it. I mean, you get people to come into a company and they've been there three months now, and they're telling you how to run the business and that they need to be a vice president. Where, you know, when we were growing up, and I don't know what kind of jobs you had growing up. I assumed you played sports. I mean, I've seen Hercules, right? So you.
Actually, I got the Hercules sword here right behind me. That was given to me the very last day of 7 years on Hercules. It's got the dates 1993 through 2000 on there, and says the journey may be over, but the legend lives on. So it's very nice for them to give me that as a gift as I left the series.
You know, I like to ask like 14 questions and then give you a chance to respond.
I noticed that. If you looked out, I had to write. I was like, oh my God, he's right.
By the way, I'll share with you. I shared with you. My daughter went to Clemson. She graduated there in accounting. She got a 4.0. She's in law school at NYU. She got accepted. So she's a first-year law student at NYU. And yet she applied for a job at your company and was turned down. So I'm not sure.
Really?
Yeah, man. Yeah, she had to go over to F45.
So I just quickly looked up her profile. So one of the things that and I don't know any because I've never met with your daughter. One of the things that we make applicants do throughout the onboarding process is do at least 10 classes before they get to my interview. So I look on her profile. She's only done 2 classes, and she hadn't been in 2 years.
And some auditions because I have a younger look. So I would
not that there's anything wrong with that.
No. I'm embracing it. I mean, look at this thing. It's like a neck beard.
You really got to understand the business, assess it before you go and get into it. You know, I hate people all the time. I make the best meatballs, I make the best this, I'm going to open a restaurant. And I'm like, I wouldn't do that, because a $1.2 million restaurant is going to give you $90,000 at the end of it, and you're going to work 160 hours. Is it worth it? And by the way, you're going to be calling me at $350,000 in debt in 6 months.
I mean, we literally piecemealed our manufacturing together. We went from, baking chips by hand and bagging them by hand and cutting them by hand. Mark's bicep was right bicep was massive. So, it's stuff like that tells you, everybody's like, well, how'd you figure out how to manufacture and build this whole production line? Well, look, if you got a bicep that's 4 inches bigger on your right arm than on your left, then well, I need something to cut this, right? And you go out and you tour other chip plants and you're like, oh, this is how they cut it. Oh, this is how they cut that. Oh, this is how they cut carrots for Campbell's soup. And well, maybe we can cut our bread like that. And that's actually what we did. Was we ended up with one of those cutters and we respaced the blades. So instead of cutting that tiny little carrot in the soup, it cut the bread.
I don't even want to say this, Mo. This guy would overinflate the football. So it was so hard, and it was one of those plastic ones. It was so slippery, and that's what we would kick off with. And sometimes they would fumble it. So that's, again, you're allowed to do it, but that's bending the rules to an extreme. Shame on that man for, doing that to 12-year-old kids. Yeah. But that being said, that was the one how he decided he wanted to create a turnover.
I'm going to come into the mic and I'm going to look Jeff in his eyes. We beat Coach K in his last game. To all my Dukies out there.
When I got there, man, I remember the first time we played the Kansas City Chiefs. I went out and got a big hit, knocked out Priest Holmes. And so I was playing hard like that because I was trying to earn that respect, because a lot of guys, the older guys, especially Damian Thompson, they didn't want to call me lights out. They called me rookie of 56.
I heard a story about a rookie dinner that you had to buy. If they didn't respect you and know who you were, then you wouldn't have been at the table. That $32,000 bill, feeding those boys.
Hey, look, I wish they did. I wish they didn't know me around that time.
Now, just because my New Year's resolution was 2 cups of coffee a day, so that's one. I only
is that up or down from where you were at?
I was 20, dude. So now I get 2 30 ounces.
You need to buy generous. You'd be our biggest purchaser.
Well, I'm going to as soon as I get. Oh, jeez. Yeah. And you asked me, said, well, what does the show do? I said, well, we educate, entertain, and inspire. And you're and you pulled it, and you had it on your paper.
Yeah.
That was yeah, that's right.
Yep. Yeah. So, I'd say a lot of our shows, we want to do all of that. So it's in that order, though, for us: inspire, educate, and entertain. But a lot of the content, we're just because it's executives being featured doesn't mean it has to be lame. It can still be fun. And interesting and exciting, and how you can cut these clips up can be fun. So I think you can do it with all kinds of content. Everything is just how you structure a story and how you can relate to that person.
I challenge you to speak positively to somebody you've never spoken to by giving them a compliment, and to smile at people that you've never smiled at before. Because that little impact, that little contribution that you make, you never know what that just little bit of effort is going to do for that person, how they're feeling that day, what connection you're going to have. And that's what you're saying is this, it's like a ripple on a pond. And our lives are just these things. And, how big do you want the ripples to be? How big of an impact do you want to make?